Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're essentially turning this explorer into a practical, tactical training camp for your mind. We're going to tackle something literally every single one of us faces: emotional triggers. You know the drill, right? Those moments where a single comment, a weird email, or even just a look completely derails your entire day. But what if I told you that you could completely dismantle those triggers? That you could actually regain total emotional control? Well, let's get to work. So, here's our syllabus for today's workshop. Think of this as a disciplined but, highly supportive boot camp. We'll kick things off with the anatomy of a trigger, look at it through the Stoic tactician's lens, and then run through the 6-step diffusion drill. After that, we'll field test it, troubleshoot some common mistakes, and wrap up with your field assignment, the 24-hour story catcher. All right, section 1, the anatomy of a trigger, fact versus story. I want to hit you with a massive paradigm shift right out of the gate here. Most events do not actually upset you. It's your opinion about them that does. Think about the clear division between an event and an opinion. On one hand, you have the bare fact. That's the neutral event, like, say, a short email, a missed text, or a critical comment. It just sits there, neutral. But then you have the added story. That's your judgment and the meaning you personally assign to it. We never react to a pure event, do we? We're always reacting to fact plus story. Now, what's really interesting about this is that the most empowering realization you can have today is the story is the part you can actually edit. Moving right along to section 2, the Stoic tactician's lens. Enter Marcus Aurelius. To really master this stuff, we're bringing in our head instructor for this training session, the Roman emperor and absolute master tactician of the mind, Marcus Aurelius. He put it incredibly bluntly. He said, "Things stand outside of us, themselves still and quiet. The disturbance comes only from the opinion within." Think about that for a second. External things, that annoying email, a traffic jam, an awkward conversation, they can't reach into your mind and twist it. They literally have no power to form an opinion about themselves. Take away your opinion of the event, and boom, the complaint goes right along with it. Marcus Aurelius actually used a razor-sharp tool for things that gripped him with either intense allure or intense fear, and it's called objective description. Basically, this means stripping a thing down to its plain physical components just to deflate all that inflated drama. For instance, he'd look at a fancy Michelin star-level meal and completely break the spell by simply calling it a dead animal. Fine wine, nap, just fermented grapes. Those luxurious purple robes of the emperor, just sheep's wool dyed with shellfish blood. Sounds like a really fun guy at parties, right? But honestly, this works incredibly well for modern threats too. A furious email? It's literally just glowing pixels on a screen, typed by a stressed-out person. Name the bare parts, and the giant becomes completely ordinary again. Which brings us to section 3, the 6-step diffusion drill, wiping off the opinion. All right, time to run the drill. This is our core tactical exercise for today. When you feel that sudden spike of emotion, here is exactly what you do. Step 1, freeze the moment. Just pause. Don't act yet. Step 2, state the bare fact. Basically, what would a totally neutral video camera record? Step 3, name the added judgment. Catch that story you just stacked on top, like, "Oh, he's ignoring me," or "This is a total disaster." Step 4, and this is absolutely crucial, wipe off the opinion. Keep the fact, drop the verdict. Step 5, if it's an allure or a threat, describe it bare using that objective description we just talked about. And finally, step 6, choose your response. Because honestly, often the calm, reasonable action you actually needed to take was just hidden under your own story the entire time. Okay, section 4, field testing the drill, workplace and daily scenarios. Let's move to and see how this builds in practice. Let's run a simulated practice using the kinds of everyday landmines we all step on. Imagine this scenario. You send a really thoughtful, incredibly detailed proposal to your manager. Hours go by, crickets. Finally, your manager replies with exactly one word, fine. So, what happens? Instantly, your stomach drops, right? Your heart rate spikes. We immediately begin inventing all these negative motives and spinning this massive narrative of doom. Okay, let's run the drill on this. You have the bare fact. Your manager replied with the word, fine, period. Then you have the added story. She's displeased, my work is slipping, oh man, I'm on thin ice. Wipe off the opinion. You don't actually know her mood. Busy people type one-word replies from their phones while literally walking between meetings all day long. Keep the fact, drop the verdict. And just like that, suddenly the afternoon is yours again. You aren't braced against some imaginary threat anymore. And hey, if you really need to know where you stand, you can just calmly ask her later. Let's try a dual simulation now. We'll look at a negative trigger, like a coworker heavily criticizing you, and a positive alert, like an intense craving for a rich dessert. How do we disarm these incredibly common daily hurdles? While we strip them down, the bare fact of the criticism is simply that a coworker said they didn't like your idea. That's it. And the bare fact of a craving, it's literally just a mixture of sugar, flour, and butter. But the added story tells you, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, or eating this dessert will be pure, life-altering bliss. The story is what wounds you, and the story is what pulls you. By dropping the story, you completely remove the sting of the criticism, which actually lets you objectively decide if the feedback is even useful. And for the craving, viewing it as just flour and butter takes the spell right off it. Next up, Section 5, Troubleshooting Common Mistakes, where the drill breaks down. Now, any good training camp acknowledges that mental conditioning takes serious practice, and obviously there are a few common pitfalls. Let's look at 3 traps to watch out for. First, confusing drop the judgment with pretend everything is awesome. That's just toxic positivity. Neutral is the target here, not cheerful. Don't swap a bad story for a fake good one. Second, secretly smuggling judgment into your facts. And third, using the drill to dodge real problems. Wiping the opinion clears your view so you can deal with facts head on. It definitely doesn't mean you just ignore a missed deadline or a genuine conflict. And this brilliantly illustrates that second trap, smuggling judgments. We say things like, she was rude to me, and we honestly think we're stating a pure fact. But wait, it actually contains a verdict, the word rude, and a target, to me. The true camera recordable fact is simply, she left while I was still talking. If a literal video camera couldn't film it, it's a story. You've got to be absolutely ruthless about stripping your thoughts down to only what is camera recordable. Finally, Section 6, the 24-hour story catcher, your field assignment. We've covered the theory, we've run the simulations together. Now it's time for your field assignment. You need to apply this in your messy, actual daily life. For the next 24 hours, you are going to be a story catcher. Grab a physical note card or just use your phone. Your mission is to catch exactly 3 moments where you feel a flash of irritation, hurt, anxiety, or craving. For each moment, you're going to write down 2 lines. Line 1 is the story, exactly as your mind told it. Line 2 is the bare, camera recordable fact. Once you've got your 3 moments jotted down, review that list. Ask yourself, in how many of these was the story actually verified versus entirely assumed? Doing this exercise is, well, it's incredibly eye-opening. You're going to notice pretty quickly just how much of your daily emotional weather comes from opinions and narratives that your brain just completely printed without ever bothering to check the facts. So the crucial point is this. The event is neutral. The sting, the anxiety, the anger, all of that is almost entirely the story you stacked on top of it. Which leads us to a fascinating question to leave you with today. If your distress is just the story you wrote, what happens if you simply refuse to print it? You have the editorial power. Try it out today and see just how much peace you can reclaim.